Okay, here we go. Monday, 4th of July. You know, in America, this is a big day. I'll be over there blowing up mailboxes with firecrackers and things like that. 4th of July, a celebration of their independence. Okay. Everyone goes forward together. We mean it. We keep talking about it. We've spent an inordinate amount of time, effort, and money to make sure that everybody that's on the call will get some assistance, and you'll be very happy with the outcomes going forward. Once we get this blockchain situation completely sorted, and it will be all free and clear. So we're really happy with where we're at. We would love to have a bit more traction, but we're limited by the speed of the blockchain programmers. There we go. One cough. Okay, welcome everybody. Let's get in amongst this. Remember, we're expressing our view as affiliates of a number of companies only. We don't represent them. We just try and share information with you that you may or may not take advantage of. It's a great opportunity to talk amongst ourselves, share the information, keep track of where we're at, and see where we're going with it going forward. So tonight, we're going to focus on two of the projects, one of which is Avinoc. And I know we've been talking about this for quite some time, but the VOO platform has actually gone live. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And I did some interesting research today to see where Avinoc came from. I couldn't get my head around the word, but we figured that out. So it's great to see that this is just a group of people that came up with an idea. So the story is they started in 2017 and they were in Austria, a group of friends. And one of them was a pilot and one of them was a blockchain specialist. And they sat down and possibly had a couple of ales and worked out that they could make a change in the industry by thinking outside of the box. And isn't that what we're about on these calls? So what they thought about is what would happen if someone got all the information relative to aviation and put it in one location so it talked to each other. And they're no longer an issue of getting a quote, organising seats, all that sort of stuff, put it all in one location. And so that's how they started Avinoc, short for Aviation Network Operation Chain. And that's really quite interesting because they were already planning to go down this blockchain road before zeniq came out with their blockchain. You might wonder why zeniq has come into the fore here, and that'd be because it's the fastest blockchain on the planet by several orders of magnitude. So they decided that if the future of the world is aviation, the global air industry alone generates more GDP than automotive and pharmaceutical industries combined. Now that's something I didn't know. That's an amazing fact, isn't it? And they think it's going to double, and by 2038 have around 6.3 trillion turnover as part of the global economy. That's assuming, of course, that we're allowed to fly and that our friend, Mr. Putin, doesn't have some measure of control over what's going on. So they believed early on that, yep, the coughing's still happening. They believed early on that the blockchain was going to take over all that information. And if you look at the growth rate there of 69% per year. Currently, there are over 70 million registered blockchain wallets compared to 11 million in 2016. So that means there's been a lot of growth. And do we know what all those people are doing? Nope. And I'll bet you that a whole lot of them that have those wallets don't know what they're doing. But we really don't care. What we're about is making sure that the systems that are available are simple enough that people can choose to use the system we have, which will give them the ability to make sure that it's simple and easy. And that, I think, is what I really like about the zeniq system. They're focused on making sure that the system we have is simple to use. And I don't know that I've come across another company that's had that focus before. I know I've been involved with plenty of companies that had blockchain wallets, and it all seemed like a good idea. But when you look at the technology, trying to understand what is going on when you're on the outside, when you're not a part of that entire process, and you're trying to figure out what the technology means that you're reading, that's where it gets to be really difficult, because you don't really have a dictionary that you can pick up and read about. So funny that the Avinoc crew decided in their growth that the future of all this is tokenization. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about that later in the call, but it is quite interesting to see that these guys came up with the same roadmap. And that, I suspect, is one of the reasons why they've tied themselves to the zeniq smart chain. That's yet to be determined, and it doesn't say that anywhere on their website. But this is all information that I've got from the Avinoc website. So they're saying that by 2027, 10% of the projected global GDP will be stored on a blockchain. That's a big number. And I read a news wire tonight that Colombia, I believe, has just announced that all of their land, what did they call it? Their titles and ownership records will move onto the blockchain this year. They're doing away with their existing process of having title deeds, etc., and putting it all on a blockchain. I think they're using the XRP blockchain for that. So it's quite interesting that there's lots of places around the world where they're choosing to incorporate blockchain technology. So aviation, one of the most rapidly growing industries in the world. So there'd be very little business, trade, or travel without aviation at the moment. And you can see that with what's happening in Eastern Europe right now. Aviation industry's contribution to the global economy amounts to 1.8 trillion per year, approximately 2% of the world's GDP. I would never have guessed that in a million years. I didn't think it was anywhere near that level, but 2% of the world's GDP is a massive number. The blockchain, one of the main processes, I suppose, that we're going to embrace in coming years is our understanding of blockchain and how to use it. Because the blockchain itself really isn't going to do anything. It's how we use it. And I think from memory, a little bit of research I did a while ago, there's about 9 smart chains running on blockchain in the world. 9. It's a small number. So we're right at the forefront of all that technology, and understanding that we get access to the blockchain systems and the people that run this wow, I get more and more excited about it as time goes on. And the token. Now remember the difference between a token and a coin. So the Avinoc token, this was off their website from a little while ago. The Avinoc token that they decided to go down the road with was an ERC20 token, so running on the Ethereum system or the Ethereum virtual machine. And they already had it listed, and it's trickling along pretty well, I have to say. But that is now migrating onto the zeniq blockchain, so it's faster and way cheaper to use. The ERC20 contracts for tokens are ridiculously expensive. So just when you think you've got it figured out and you've got enough assets in your wallet to complete the story that you want to do, they come up with a fee, a gas fee that's a ridiculous amount, and you can't do it because you don't have enough. So very happy to see that these guys were going down that road anyway, and that they're migrating onto the zeniq blockchain. Moving the sky with groundbreaking technology. So this is a screenshot off their website talking about their VOO platform. I have no idea what VOO stands for either. It's a all-in-one app/web portal, and it has already gone live. So this was a screenshot I took a few weeks ago when it was 1 week and 4 days to the launch, and it is now live. The cool thing about that is that means that there are a lot of private aircraft owners that are registering their aircraft on the VOO platform to start using it so they can take bookings, etc. Now, you're going to think this through and wonder why someone would book a private plane to fly somewhere. I know that I've mentioned this a few times, but a year or two ago, I needed to go to Melbourne for something, and there was 3 of us that needed to go. I went around all the commercial airlines, etc., and it worked out to be considerably cheaper to book a private jet for 6 people than to fly 3 people commercial to Melbourne and back. That's insane, but that's how it was. And I'm really happy that this is coming, because we here in Australia have lots of issues with finding aircraft and trying to get to where you need to go. And this will be just an absolute boon to those of us that do travel and do business in different places. So all the aircraft operators now have the ability to get on this VOO platform and register their aircraft, their details, etc. It's not live for taking bookings yet. They're still working on that, but it's not far away. Really exciting. And Tupan. Now, I've picked these 2 projects to talk about. I've talked about Tupan a few times in the past, but remember, this is something that gets people's attention. When I first heard about Tupan, I got right excited about the fact that I'd be able to buy some tokens, put them in my wallet, and I'd own a piece of the Amazon jungle. And that got me really excited, because their entire platform is built around environmental issues, carbon credits, reforestation, preservation of existing jungle/forest. It's really very cool. And this is their tagline: blockchain plus Tupan equals planet plus healthy. That's pretty cool. And it makes it even more exciting when you understand what the pricing structure is and how the tokens work. So this is a summary. We did a little bit of a summary last week that I recorded. This is another quick snip from that same project.
So one of the important things, if you maybe realized already, there is a little bit of confusion maybe at the moment on the market, and we want to explain what is important, why this is happening. There is at the moment the Tupan token that we had from the past on the Waves blockchain. And now we have another Tupan token, which is minting on the zeniq hub. So to have a clear picture of what is going on, there are two different ones. This is the first thing. So because of these two different ones, we will today explain what is the difference. So one, it's the Tupan minted on the zeniq hub. We will call this Tupan TCT. So not TNT, TCT, TCT, which is the Tupan community token. It's a community token which is minted on the zeniq hub. And with this, we have a token which is for everybody, for the community. And this is very important in compared to the old version of Tupan that we had. This token was actually created for accredited investors, for companies that were able to invest in funds. So this is a big difference. To don't have this confusion, we said, okay, we will have two different tokens, both on the zeniq smart chain. This is very important. So there will be a new token for companies, a new token for the accredited investors. We will announce very soon the name of this token, but it's very close to the fund name. So I'm giving a little hint. And this is very important also for the previous people who invested in the, let's say, previous Tupan version. So this previous Tupan version will not exist anymore. So the website will be closed actually from now on. And the existing Tupan holders, there will be a migration program. This is very important. There will be a migration program that we will announce soon what is happening so that they don't be afraid to lose any money on any investment. There will be a very felt migration program. And this program will help all the previous investors to have the opportunity to go to the next chapter. But this program will be announced very soon.
So there's a little snippet of information that we have not really understood up till now. The fact that there are existing ERC20 tokens out there, and they were designed for Tupan to be compliant with the SEC regulations. So this whole process is SEC regulated, and it's interesting when you think about it that they thought that through before they really got very far down this road. So there will be two tokens, two Tupan tokens. The ones we are minting on our hubs, Tupan community tokens. And the process is quite interesting because they're going to integrate the old tokens onto the new blockchain and give it a different name, but that's the only way they can keep that all in the one blockchain. Now, those old tokens, we won't get paid to mint them because they're already in existence. However, when those tokens are traded, the fees from those tokens, 50% of that fee will go into the pool that buys these tokens off the market and burns them. So they have a process in place similar to zeniq and similar to Avinoc that will restrict the number of tokens in circulation. And that's really going to change the way this entire system works, because it is a self-prophesying study that if you got less tokens and there's more people coming on to use them, what's going to happen to the price? Pretty fair bet that it's going to go up, seriously. So I'm real happy that they've come to that conclusion and that they've got that working. It makes it a bit clearer when we, I meant to play that snip last week, but I was so foggy when I put that together that I just got to the end of my use by time and I couldn't do any more. So we're getting more and more information about this as we go forward, and I really like it. This is a little snippet. You can find this video on YouTube, but I wanted to play it tonight because they talk about ESG and why it's important, and it's about the environmental impact of what companies and hedge funds do. So the premise of this video is to think about, if you really think what you're investing in is environmental, you need to understand how they operate.
If you've heard about ESG investment, you know that it refers to companies that focus on environmental, social, and governance issues. What we'll talk about today is how it is fundamentally changing the investment landscape. There are a variety of motivations behind the ESG movement. While some investors want their money to go towards companies and projects that will change the world, others simply want to minimize the harm that their investments have on communities and ecosystems. Then there is a third group who are looking to use ESG principles to protect their own portfolio from potentially negative impacts. But no matter the motivation, all ESG investors want to make a return on their money. If it sounds straightforward, just know that this is much harder in practice than in principle. For example, how do you decide whether a company deserves the halo of being classified as ESG friendly? Take Tesla. The company makes electric cars which are better for the environment than traditional ones. So you would think this investment would have a positive effect on the environment, but not so fast.
Everyone.
There are questions around the environmental impact of mining nickel, which Tesla uses in its batteries. And is the electricity used to charge your car coming from renewable or non-renewable sources? Tesla has also announced that it made a $1.5 billion investment in Bitcoin. And, as has been pointed out by Bill Gates, mining Bitcoin is an environmentally damaging activity because of the energy it requires. So, what do you do if you want to invest in environmental progress? Do you buy Tesla shares or not? The answer is not so clear-cut. These days, most people don't have to make that decision. A rise in passive investing means that most folks choose an index tracking fund, like an ETF or a mutual fund, which puts their money into a basket of company stocks that track an index. To create an ESG-focused index simply means that the companies in that basket have met certain criteria that make them ESG friendly. But what does that mean in reality? Well, it's still up for debate. Nonetheless, the sheer number of indices that provide an ESG focus have exploded from 2019 to 2020, increasing by 40% according to the Index Industry Association survey. The amount of money going into ESG assets has also exploded. In the US in 2016, there was $8.1 trillion in professionally managed ESG assets, according to the Forum for Sustainable and Responsible Investment. By 2020, that number grew to $17.1 trillion, which is more than a 100% increase in just 4 years. And as for figuring out which companies to put in those indices we talked about, many index providers rely on various metrics that score companies based on their ESG impact. Examples of metrics are things like exposure to carbon-intensive operations, energy efficiency, human rights concerns, etc. However, there can be discrepancies between the ratings agencies, even when they're scoring the exact same company. Often, index providers will have a committee that helps make decisions on which companies to include and which to exclude. This is important because the company stocks they include will benefit from more investor cash. But the subjectivity of classification has led to controversy over whether some funds are truly investing in companies that fulfill the vision of ESG, or whether some index providers are merely using it as a marketing term and putting the ESG label on funds that don't really merit it. This is why it's so important for investors to carefully read the methodology and prospectus behind an ESG index before they invest, to ensure that they are getting something that truly reflects their goals. So a question you may be asking right now is whether the returns of those ESG funds are better or worse than traditional investments. In this chart showing the performance of an ESG fund versus a standard fund, you'll see that they perform pretty much in parallel to one another. This is just one example, of course. Some ESG funds may do better than the benchmarks, others may do worse. But the beauty of ESG is that in general, investors don't need to worry about sacrificing performance for doing good. Perhaps that is why we see so much money jumping on the ESG bandwagon.
And you can see that little video had the Tupan leaf up in the corner the whole way. So I really like the fact that we can do our own research and understand what's going on with Tupan. And I'm more on board with it now that I understand that the Tupan community token that we are minting, that is designed to buy degraded land and reforest it. That makes sense as a carbon sink. And I'm going to be very happy to get my hands on some and put them in my pocket so that I can walk around and demonstrate to people that, yep, I've done something. I've actually bought some of the Amazon rainforest. Now, am I really going to make that big a difference? Well, not this year. Maybe in a couple of years I will. Let's see where this all goes. But there's just a little bit of information on how these systems that we are becoming a part of are being graded in the marketplace so that people understand that there is an environmental impact and we are part of it. So carbon credits, that's what they were just talking about. That's what we get. And if you look at this number, they're talking about that being 2,400 billion. That's just, that's a huge number by 2027. That's amazing. And it's designed to tie in with what we're doing. So this is their roadmap. The token allows them to have the money to buy the land. They then reforest it. That gives them the certificate, and they then can sell the certificates. That puts more money back in their fund, and so on and so forth. It becomes a self-feeding enigma. And I really like that because that's sustainable. And we sit over on the left with our nodes and master nodes, and we mint tokens that make the entire system work. Love it. How do you get some? Well, if you've got a zeniq hub, either a full hardware device or a digital hub, you can buy a Tupan add-on for €9.98. They're available now. And the other sizes, half a hub, 530, quarter, 300, they may be available. No, they're actually not available yet, but that'll be, I keep thinking any minute that's going to become available. And in a couple of weeks, we should have the other options for the smaller portions. So I'm really interested to see where this is all going to go. But boy, we're going to have some tokens out there in the very near future. And I love the fact that they're doing what they're doing. And I think these tokens will go pretty well in the market. So they're going to go up in price a lot, I think. But they're all available very soon. If you have a look this week, the minting package pre-sale is 107%. So when they start minting, I know we've got some people that will either hear this or be on the call in the recording. Martin says there's a discount if you buy more than one. There you go. Given that I don't have an account with more than one hub in it, I would never have worked that out, Martin. Thanks, mate. So just understand that when they start minting, if you buy one this week, it'll mint around about, roughly, give or take a couple, 107 coins per day, tokens per day. And they're going on the market when they go live at 3.69 US cents per token. Yep, there's another cough, that's still working. So they're just two of the projects that are coming into our system. And they're both fantastic. They're the first two real blockchain projects tied to assets on our blockchain. So I'm not exactly sure what else is coming. I know there's a lot of other projects coming. There's hundreds more of them to come, but it's just really good to see that we have available access to these systems. And we've got people on the call like Martin who detail oriented, look at the numbers. We are working to see, I'm going to see if I've managed, no, I didn't break it. That's okay. So this is another quick snapshot. Tonight, the important thing for me is understanding that the cryptocurrency industry and investment products around the world are in a meltdown at the moment. And this is just a bit of information on that.
Additional question about 3AC. So big solvency issue happening there. Give us a rundown on that case in particular.
I mean, essentially all this started with the collapse of Luna, and usually, you know, in every bear cycle, which, you know, Bitcoin has crashed and resurfaced stronger over and over and over again in its 12, now maybe 13-year history.
Yeah.
This year, this was sort of some of like maybe the biggest instances thus far. Some of these, you know, 3AC was considered a blue chip hedge fund in the space. Luna, very new, only a few years old, was considered, you know, one of the more promising projects, but it just, one, it goes to show you how much more mainstream crypto is getting, how much bigger it's getting. But two, you know, this did start a sort of contagion effect, and it has affected many, many, many people. I don't know the inner workings of these companies. You know, we're all waiting and watching and commenting as more information comes out. I think this is a great reminder of the reason Bitcoin and cryptocurrency was invented in the first place. You hear Bitcoiners say, not your keys, not your coins, because what this revolution is self-sovereignty for your funds. Meaning in the digital age, for the first time ever, you could actually own and control your assets. Before, if it was tech, you know, the big tech companies like Amazon and Facebook had to do it. With finance, you would trust your bank to do it. Now, from everything we're seeing, you know, compared to 10 years ago versus what the world may be like 10 years later, people are losing trust in big tech. They're losing trust in these governments, and they want more ownership of their funds. So it's not bad if you want to give up your keys, give up your coins. The revolution is, as long as you know the details and know the specifics of the situation, the average grandma may not care about that. But the important thing is now you have the choice for that self-sovereignty.
Yeah, and I just want to add, you know, the reason why the 3-Arrow Capital insolvency, you know, possible, you know, and the reason that shook the market so much is because they were highly respected. A lot of people saw 3-Arrow Capital as people smarter than the rest of the market.
I like the way they talked about self-sovereignty and that people were losing trust in big tech and government. And I think that's really important for us to understand. And that is why we've been on this road together, because we are focused on taking control of our assets and digitization, tokenization of our assets. This is going to change the cryptocurrency world, because we're no longer creating a coin that we hope someone will buy off us later. We're actually tokenizing physical assets. Why is it important? Well, Luna, the coin that he talked about, was supposedly a stable coin, but it used Bitcoin as the asset backing. And that was managed by an algorithm. Let me think about that. Has anyone noticed what happened to Bitcoin lately? Now, why would you think that you could build a stable coin using Bitcoin as the back-end asset and keep it stable? That is just an amazing level of understanding the wrong stuff. Simple logic tells you that that cannot work, and it didn't. It didn't last very long at all, but it lost trillions of dollars of people's money. Amazing. So don't forget the roadmap, because AU4U and the zeniq blockchain, goldrocks tied to AU4U, safir, zeniq on that blockchain. This is what protects us from what they just described, because AU4U's got Australian metal. We will put metal in Singapore for the tokens. And why Singapore? It's the largest custodial vault we get easy access to. It's in the top 3 in the world. Avinoc, we've already talked about. Staking works now. So if you've got a bunch of Avinoc tokens, You can stake them and earn interest on it. Tupan going live as we speak, and the zeniq coin is already operational. 400 other projects coming. That's very cool, because I don't think it makes much difference if they're all tokenized systems that will use a lot of blockchain capacity, create a lot of fees that will burn coins that will increase the price. What links all that together? Our silver and gold tokens. Now, remember, when we talk about creating a stable coin, we're not backing it with Bitcoin or Ethereum and an algorithm. Revenue will come from the turnover that's generated by the smart chain that it runs on, and that will benefit all the people on the call tonight. As founders, you will get a revenue stream from that. So how about those milestones? Well, all the ones on the left have already been delivered. Q1 in 2022, the zeniq app worked out and we could connect it to the hub. The debit card is now live in Europe. The smart chain is activated and operational. They did that at the ZenCon in Mexico. And wow, you listen to people talk about what happened in ZenCon. One of the guys I listened to the other day said there were programmers there at that conference that programmed for 46 hours without sleep. They were so excited. They've got to be seeing something about it. I think we're on a winner. And in the second quarter, start of the first tokenization project. So that's actually happened. Tupan and Avinoc are underway, and I know they're working on a bunch of others. So that's all in the process. We don't need to worry about really whether this is working, because it actually is working and you can see it multiple different ways. The zeniq swap will work. That's ready to go live any minute now. I'm kind of surprised they didn't get it done before the end of June, but it's going to be an easier way for us to buy tokens, buy coins, etc. Much lower fees. Thoughts and prayers go out to everyone in the Ukraine. Like, I just hope that that comes to an end in some way that allows the Ukraine to keep its sovereignty and not be pushed about by a bully. What now? Well, to prevent disaster, and if you look anywhere around the world at what's going on, I just saw another news wire come through this afternoon about retirement funds in America, that they're basically all running out of money. What's going to happen when all those people that currently live from the meager funds they get from their retirement fund, and all of a sudden it dries up? What is going to happen? I hate to think. But you need a way to privately hold assets and have spendable assets. That's very important. Know how to protect your assets and have a way to create a side income, because a side income gives you a level of financial security. I'm choosing to do that with this system, with the zeniq system, Safir and AU4U. Those three projects together give us the best of the digital and physical world. And it's unique. We are really out there on the edge. So what now? Just make sure that you are aware of what you can do. It's free to add a wallet. Coin minting starts at 100 euros and up, and then you can add Tupan projects, etc., as you go along when you have the money to do it. So it's a really easy entry level to just start accruing coins. Stay focused on the package, gold, silver, and crypto. That's what we're all about today. If you want more coins, you will be able to get them very, very soon on zeniq Swap, or you can purchase parts of hubs or hubs. These will mint free coins for you, and that's a good deal. Getting a free coin. These can be sold or saved depending on your wishes. Now, I know there are lots of people on this call, and I've been involved for years, then holding new coins that they say, oh yeah, in a year's time, you'll be able to sell them. And of course, they disappear in the first year. You can sell these coins or tokens within 24 hours that they're minted. Why you would do that, you know, people have their reasons for doing anything, but I'm going to hold them for a little while before I start selling any, and we'll see where this goes. We are a group of like-minded people that are focused on economic survival, and boy, if you haven't noticed the changes that are coming, have a look around, pay attention. Here's some videos that I think it's well worth watching. These links will be in the description on the YouTube channel. This is the one that I took that little clip out where they talked about Luna, and they're talking about how this is going to recover. So it's amazing to listen to them talk about it, how good they are. They're twins, those two dudes, and they have a very large crypto channel that they give people advice on cryptocurrencies. Turn any surface into a solar panel. You know, you don't have to look too far to realize that energy is becoming a real issue. And this company in California has created a film that will go on windows, any flat surface, put it on the screen of your phone. The phone will still work and it'll generate electricity when it's in the sun. It's a great new tech. Is it going to make as big a difference as they think? I don't know, but it's well worth the listen. There's only one ultimate safe haven asset. What do you think that might be? This guy talks about the breakup of America is coming, and the only thing that's going to save people is gold. Fancy that. An Australian bank has just collapsed. This is from Florian Heiser, Vault Bank. They were an online bank. They've just handed in their banking license and shut down. They'll be completely shut down in 48 hours. So there's a lot of things going wrong in the world, and we're just at the forefront of dealing with it. Pension funds. This is the video that talks about the pension funds in America and how they're running out of money. Again, another good listen. And here is Mr. Manarino. Now, one of his flags that he follows regularly is the 10-year yield. And he's saying that it has started to plummet. And that was one of the things he talked about a long time ago and is still talking about, is when that happens, the world is really in a bad place. Well worth listening to. So watch this space, lots of things changing, lots of things happening in the world. We'll try and bring you up to speed as we get more and more info. The bottom line is everything we knew as normal has gone, and it is unlikely, exceedingly unlikely to come back as it was before. Everything we've ever talked about is coming true. You don't need to be a salesperson. There's nothing really to sell other than just share the information and let people do what they choose to do. Be your own bank. We are giving people the opportunity to have self-sovereignty, as that guy suggested in the video. You will have control of your own assets. You won't be at the beck and call of anybody. I just had to go to the bank today and cancel my debit card because a very large online business decided to switch all the information out of my account and put it in somebody else's account and let them buy digital systems. So the only way I could actually stop it was to go to the bank and cancel my card. Isn't that amazing? Hold and use money in spendable assets. Protect yourself. Thank you for coming, ladies and gentlemen. I'm feeling a whole lot perkier than I was just a couple of days ago. Anyone got any questions? If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. We've had a pretty good night. I was fascinated with the research I did on Avinoc, and I'm more and more enlightened by Tupan as things go along. I quite like both those projects. We hope that the following projects that are coming along are equally as interesting. We got any questions? Thanks, Martin. Yeah, we get more and more info as we go along, and collectively our people in the group find little bits and pieces. Don't see any questions. Okay. Thanks, Val. We look forward to catching up with you in the very near future. Thanks, everybody. And Louise, if you're still on the call, we will talk to you tomorrow. Yes, I see you there. I'll give you a call tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody. We look forward to seeing you on the golden beaches of the world.